In this world, we've learned to live in a box, or a man can only be a certain way. And the work I do with men is how to break out of that, how to be authentic to yourself, allow your feelings, allow your warrior, allow your primal and your sensitive, all of that, because we are all of it. Men have feelings just like women, but we've been boxed in. So that, my journey has been through many modalities, and then through tantric masters and inner trauma work and breath work. I was doing breath work before it was even popular, or jumping out of airplanes to test my strength and my limits of fears, and bungee jumping out of hot air balloons.
Welcome, tribe. I'm Mayah Rose.
And I'm Gerald Rogers. We're about to embark on another mind-expanding episode where we dive deep into the realms of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
This is a transformational experience of healing, manifestation, increased clarity, flow, and alignment.
So join us on this sacred journey as we receive the codes of transformation from scientists and psychonauts, shamans, tantra masters, mystics, and more.
Together, we'll unravel the secrets of plant medicine, sex magic, and other tools to tap into higher states of consciousness.
So why are we here? To answer the call, to share our passions and be advocates for alternative healing.
So get ready for a ride that transcends the ordinary and leads you to the extraordinary, because living a legendary life is not just a choice.
It's a sacred adventure.
Welcome back to Psychedelics, Sex, and the Superconscious. And today I've got a treat for you. I've got an expert in the tantric space who also works with men and helps them discover who they are. But don't take it from me. I'm going to read his bio so I get it all right. So my friend MarcAnthony is joining us today. He is dedicated to helping men move from their minds into their hearts, anchored in presence, truth, and authentic connection. I love that you work with men, MarcAnthony. Mm-hmm. He is a visionary creator and a co-founder of the Mankind Project of New Jersey. MarcAnthony has been devoted to healing and awakening thousands of men for decades. He is one of only 10 people in the entire world certified in transforming cellular memory, a powerful modality of deep inner healing. Grateful to be trained and certified by his tantric masters, his work bridges deep healing, sacred relationships, and ancient remembering to create the authentic brotherhood that men have been yearning for. MarcAnthony's courageous vision is to awaken men and co-create a new earth. He guides men through profound transformation, helping them reclaim their power, purpose, and open-hearted practice. And when he's not holding space for healing, you'll find him on an adventure somewhere with dark chocolate in his pocket. MarcAnthony, I love that.
I'm a dark chocoholic, I have to admit. That's my downfall.
Me too. So I'd love to adventure with you sometime with some dark chocolate in our pockets. And
welcome
to the show. I'm really excited to interview you today. A lot of the interviews that I do solo focus on women who are helping other women, and Gerald usually does the interviews with the guys. And today I get to do this interview with you because I just really want to dive deep on what it means to be in the divine masculine, what that can mean for the feminine, for women. And I felt such an alchemization in the world recently around this. And what does it mean to be in the masculine, feminine? What does it mean to be a man, a woman? What does it mean to identify with these different genders and different energies that are out in the field? So before we get into all of that, I would love to just hear a little bit of your background and how you got started in all of this.
Okay. First, let me say it's exciting to be on this with you, a beautiful goddess you are. And the more I get to know about you, the more I see that. My journey came from a traumatic childhood. I was pretty wild and pretty crazy. And around 19, my sister asked me to go to therapy. She felt like she was losing me to a pretty wild world that, I don't want to share everything here because it's pretty deep and pretty intense. But I was in drugs and all kinds of wild stuff. And that started my journey into inner child work, men's work, tantric work for years. And it's funny, I worked with men and then I came along and with Mankind Project and all that stuff. And then I worked with women tantrically. So I have both perspectives. I know how to really create safety and presence for women. I know how to teach men too. And in my journey, I took my father into the men's work with me, which was pretty profound. We were in a group together every week doing our work. We had like these warrior weekends, and my father actually got to see me and witness me do my rage work about him in front of him. Two men
Wow.
held him, seven men held to me, and it was an hour and a half of my rage. Everything I've been carrying, men, as men, we're carrying so much. We're living in these boxes, and we think we don't have rage or we're not angry about it. But in this world, we've learned to live in a box, or a man can only be a certain way. And the work I do with men is how to break out of that, how to be authentic to yourself, allow your feelings, allow your warrior, allow your primal and your sensitive, all of that, because we are all of it. Men have feelings just like women, but we've been boxed in. So that, my journey has been through many modalities, and then through tantric masters and inner trauma work and breath work. I was doing breath work before it was even popular, or jumping out of airplanes to test my strength and my limits of fears, and bungee jumping out of hot air balloons. And there's a lot of stories. I've lived life for the experience of life, and not to stay in this little small area. So that's a
Mm.
little bit about me.
Well, I love that. What an adventurous life you've lived. What do you consider to be the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Wow, the most adventurous. There's so many. Oh, I would say going deep into love in a relationship is pretty adventurous. I did a trip with a buddy where we flew into Portugal, and we didn't plan the trip. We just listened to energy, and it took us through Portugal and Spain, and then we were in Morocco. Like, it was just a wild trip because there was no plan. It was like, oh, energy's pulling us here. Oh, energy's pulling us there. So it was pretty exciting to live on the edge of not knowing. Bungee jumping out of a hot air balloon was pretty intense. Rock climbing, heli skiing, pretty intense adventure. Being dropped out of a helicopter, and having an avalanche device on you in case the mountain, decided to let go. Oh my. I did a lot of Indian stuff with sweat lodges and survival and living out. And I remember my cousin, when he was going to go to college, he was like, I turned him on to these classes, and he wanted to go out in the woods and live out there. So we lived out there with a knife and the clothes on our back. And that was it. And just survived out there. I've built debris huts, slept in debris huts in the woods. There's a lot of them. I could
Wow.
I could probably keep going all night. So I know we don't have that much time.
It's okay. I just love hearing about your life. It's like the more I get to know you, the more I realized how much you've done and what an exciting life that you've lived. And I loved your answer too of one of the most adventurous things you've done is just allowed yourself to get into a relationship that can be so courageous. And I also want to commend that you got to do your rage work about your dad in front of your dad.
Mm.
How was that for you and how was that for him?
One of the biggest, I'll get choked up about it, but one of the biggest gifts of my life. I mean, me and my father did not have a good relationship. I mean, there was a lot of trauma there. There was a lot of pain, a lot of anger. So it was like the biggest gift I could ever give. For, men told him that you have to witness this, you have to be accountable. And for me, it was releasing, and it brought us together. We ended up being in an I group, which is an integration group that's like every week for 5 years, doing our inner work together, witnessing him, witnessing me grow as a facilitator. And, it was beautiful. It brought us deep closeness and love. I just lost my father this January, and it was really tender I was taking him in the shower and bathing him, and it really created a lot of warmth and tenderness and love. Still chokes me up because it was a gift in my life, really a gift to come from, hell. We had a fist fight when I was like 16 or 17. So we came from that kind of hell to, because he was brutal. He was brutal. But in the end, we had love and closeness, and were able to go through all of that.
I think so many people, as our parents get older, or as those of us, or those who have lost their parents, I think there's a lot of times that we wish we'd said or did something or healed some certain part of our relationship. And what a gift that you got to do that while your father was living. You got to repair that relationship and process through it and feel your feelings and allow him to witness that. And so thank you for sharing that. What a powerful story that is. And just as we talk about this, obviously you've had a childhood where you didn't have a great relationship with your dad, and then now you have a good relationship. I know you have a son. I know you do men's work. So I want to just dive in and ask you, what do you think is the biggest problem or the biggest story that's creating a problem for men right now that's not allowing them to really be fully who they are or accepting of themselves? What's the biggest struggle right now?
Wow. And it's hard to really bring it into one thing.
Mhm.
I would say there's many things. Men were taught to only be a certain way. So feelings, whatever, don't be curious, don't get outside your sexual box. So you already have a socialization, you have your parents, you have the world telling you you can only be this way. I don't like to use the word toxic. It's more hurt. We're hurt and have feelings, and we just had to bury it all. And then you have the world coming out and saying, well, you're terrible and you're toxic and you're this and that now. And it's like, we don't know who we are. We don't know what works. We don't know how to be. And we've never learned how to break out of, these little patterns and the ways that we've been taught. And so I think it's pretty hard to find out who you are. And that's the work I do, is like getting authentic, like having our feelings. You can be a warrior and sensitive. You can be, you know, work a high powered job and come home and be sensual with your wife. It's really about exploring. And we haven't explored. There's so much to explore and be curious about. And it's like almost like men, we're just, oh no. And yes, there's a great focus and there's a great, like, I honor men. Men have taken care of this world and done stuff that's unbelievable. But now we're moving into, and we have been for many years, a new way of being, a deeper level. Women are been like aching for it. And, I joke, this is like a joke with men. You want more sex. You want to have this amazing relationship. This is how you get there. There's a dance you can do with her. You feel her because you're doing your own work. You're feeling yourself. You feel her. You can dance with her. She will give you the world. But it's about learning all these new ways. And it's actually easier than we think, because once you start stepping into it and becoming authentic and allowing your feelings and holding each other accountable, you can step right into it pretty quickly and then bring it to your relationship. And I always say, bring curiosity, because there's so much to explore that opens you, that opens your relationships. So that, it's time, and men don't hold each other accountable. So we see the greatness in each other, but we don't hold each other accountable to that level of greatness, or to move into it, or hold space for feelings, or hold space for rage, whatever it is. And so that's what I create, containers where men can go deep, like, let's get real. Let's not play games. Let's take down the masks. I think that's what I loved when I first went into Mankind Project years ago, was like, the men had dropped the masks and men were affectionate with each other. It's like, oh my God, really? Really? We can be tender and warm with each other and love each other up and not be, I'm this, I'm that. It can't be. And it's like, we can have all the range, because women really have all the range. They have a lot of range, and men haven't had that range, but we have inside us, we have that range. So it's really, how do we expand that range of having all of it and allowing it all and taking down the masks, being vulnerable. Like, it's the most powerful thing to be vulnerable. I was in a men's week out in Nicaragua years ago, and it was like, had a circle of women around us and the men were in the middle. And this might be a lot for some people, and you don't have to do it naked, but they made us drop our clothes, and we were facing each other in a circle, and the women were around us, and they had us go into a vulnerable piece where we started to cry. It was like really taking us into our childhood and a piece of pain. And then from that place, they had us turn around and do the haka, that strong, and it was like the vulnerability and the power and the masculine. And the women were like blown, like, that's where we want to live. We want to be able to go up both sides and have both sides.
Yeah. Well, what a tricky balance too, because what I'm hearing you saying and what I've noticed is that on one hand, there's this cultural story and this idea, and many of the boys are taught you need to be tough, don't show your emotions, You need to bury that. You need to be a certain way. You need to create this strong container, right? And then on the other side of it, you've got women or people that are saying, well, you're not sensitive enough. You aren't conscious. You aren't in tune with your feelings. I want you to be more that way. So I can imagine that it's a tricky balance for some men to try and figure out, am I this tough person that buries my feelings, or do I show up more? Is it safe for me to open my heart and be vulnerable? Is it not? And that's one thing, I was listening to my friend a while ago. She was actually on this podcast, Luna Ora, and we were talking, and this idea came up that the world will heal when the hearts of the men heal and the wombs of the women heal. And it really became then a question for me is how can I be a part of this healing the hearts of the men in my life? How can I step up and create a container for them to drop the mask, to be vulnerable, to be both soft and strong, to be both authentic and also in their full, masculinity, in all of its authenticity. And so what I heard from you is there's certain ways that men can support each other, creating containers where they can see each other and be held and hugged. And I love what you said about the Mankind Project. But my question for you is, as a woman, I would love to hear your perspective, because you've worked with so many men, of how can how can women really step up and support men? What is the best thing that we can do? As I'm in my relationship with Gerald, or even with my dad or my brothers or my sons, how can I help support them in their healing of their hearts?
Well, I can tell you, and I think this is for everybody, but we're talking about women right now, is do your work. Do your work, because everybody's trying to put their stuff on everybody else. So if we're talking about women, you're putting your stuff, your father's stuff, your mother's stuff on your man. So do your work so that you're really clean coming to him. Men want to be adored, appreciated, trusted. And if you come to him in that space without the nag, without, like, you want to, men really are the leaders, but women can lead in a different way, with the feminine, with the openness, with the love, with the warmth, with the adoration, with it's in subtle ways to bring him in. I joke and I'm like, even use sex. I mean, in a way, it's a healthy way to use sex, is to bring him in to opening. But what's important is supporting him doing work with men, because what I've learned is that we as men put too much on women, and women are trying to help the men. We really need to do the work with men, and women need to do the work with women, and then come together and be in that adoration and respect and trust, because we can't do it for each other. It's like so much pressure. It's like women are going to take care of you and you're going to have it all and you can bring it all there. And men, you can't. You really need to do it with, the men need to do the work with the men, so that when they come to the women, it's not all on them. And just like the women doing their work, it's not all, but in terms of the support, it's the adoration, it's respect, it's trust. It's not pulling away, it's not closing down. It's always staying open, like bringing the heart. Like I do pujas where we honor women. It's like, you women have carried love in your hearts through rape and violence and for centuries and centuries. So in some way, you're still carrying that. And how do you bring that to your man? Is like in that love, in that respect, in that trust, bring that feminine heart, that feminine warmth to the man, so that he has a space that can open to it. Because there's a tenderness in the men's heart, and that's really where they want to go. And when you create that space, it gives him a space to, like, I can breathe a little. She's bringing that openness. Because if you bring the nag and the on me and the criticism, and I just retreat, I'm just going to go away.
I love that
I'm
you
not
brought
gonna
that.
bring my heart.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, and I think it's interesting. Gerald and I, in our relationship, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of supporting each other, seeing each other, loving each other, and still there are these moments that pop up sometimes where I'm in my unconsciousness. But what I love is that we can call each other out on it. now in a healthy way, and just say, hey, the way you're talking to me is not actually inspiring me, or could you do this different? So I love that we've been able to cultivate that relationship. But there's a couple things that I've noticed, and there's always things to work on, right? And one of the things that this even popped up in my relationship early on was this idea of almost feeling threatened if a man wanted to go spend time with men. Like, what's wrong with me? Why don't you want to spend time with me? What am I not doing for? What can they do for you that I can do for you? And what I noticed was that this is such an unhealthy pattern. And you're right. It's women need to be in women's groups and circles to heal. And I run a women's group called Asha Temple, and we do so much deep work there that only can be done within the feminine. And then the men need the men. And it's great and it's perfect. And one of the things that I really want everybody that's in a relationship to know in here is you should be celebrating your partner in spending time with men. Or if you're a man, you should be celebrating your partner spending time with her sisters, because it is so important that we do this. There's of course, if you're in divine partnership and divine union, there's so much that you can do for each other. But there's just this piece that can't be healed by the opposite sex. You need to go into those groups. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And I'm also really glad that you're running these groups for men. And I'm just curious, what do you think is the biggest outcome when somebody comes to one of the groups you're running, when they go through the processes you do? Like, what happens after men are with men, after they do this healing? How does their lives change?
So dramatically. First of all, they live from their heart. They live authentically. That's really big for men, because we've lived in so many masks. So they don't live with the mask on anymore. They can be whoever they are at the moment and know they're okay. If tears come, if excitement comes, if pain comes, it's like, I can handle it all. I can be with it. So there's a real authentic and heart that's there. There's also like a tenderness and an ownership of that space of being able to come to his woman in a different space, and this more open and this more relaxed place. So they become more relaxed, because
And
underneath,
I have to interrupt you for just a moment, because I love now, even though at first I had to like alchemize some of those old stories about like, why don't you want to spend time with me? Why are you going off with these men? What are you doing? Once I did, and now when Gerald goes for guys' night, or if he goes in a guys' retreat or something, he comes back and I'm like, ooh, you are so attractive right now. This is amazing. Whatever you did, I want you to go to more of it. So now I'm a huge proponent, because I know when he comes back, there's just something that's like activated inside of him that I love so much.
he's more grounded. He's more, see, what I teach is you can be in that primal masculine, that killer, and tender. So when you do the work and you come back, it's like, I can be tender and open and hold that ground for you. And my desire, my lust for you is great on the, like, I'm bringing my primal, I'm bringing my sexual desire, and I'm holding space for all of you, for your femininity, for your wildness, for your heart, your sexuality, like all of you. So I can hold, my capacity grows unbelievably to hold you, because I've opened my capacity for me. And that's what we do when we do the men's work. Our capacity, because instead of the box, our capacity is huge. So I can hold it all. I can hold the warrior, I can hold the lover, I can hold the sexual wild man, like all of it. And so when I have it for me and I do the work here, I can have it for you, and I can feel the dance, and I can feel you and be with you in that.
Yeah, even just you talking about that, like my whole face is glowing and I feel my body like, ooh, this is exciting. Just to hear and experience a man that's in that state of being so fully grounded and so fully alive within himself. So, so, so attractive. So I love that you're doing that for men. What do you think, just out of curiosity, this is kind of a curious question. What do you think is the biggest the biggest mistake that women or partners make that emasculate men?
any kind of criticism, any kind of doubt of his leadership, any kind of disrespect or anything that cuts him. I mean, men want to be adored. They want to be trusted. They want to be appreciated. So anything that cuts that, it's like, wait a second. It causes a pain, a shutdown inside. So he's either going to get angry or he's going to shut down. And so that just creates separation. And I just want to go back to one thing before about that. We talk about foreplay and women loving foreplay. When a man is in himself and he comes to you and he's in that space, he's dancing with you. He feels you. And that's the foreplay. Women are aching for a man that feels them, feels when they're up, down, in and out. And so you can be with that. And that's the foreplay that women really ache for. Anyway, we'll go back. So it's really not.
I love that. We can talk about that all day. I'm full into that. The more you're talking, the more I'm like, geez, I think when I get off this podcast, I'm going to go encourage Gerald, like go to men's retreat or something. I mean, he does an excellent job anyway. And he has such a good balance between his guys' time and my time. But just like hearing you talk about that is, yeah, it just really makes me excited, even just talking about the idea of this. So I hope for all the men that are listening to this show, they're like, oh, I'm kind of getting it now. So yeah.
Yep. And the women can encourage in their feminine way, men, go for it, go do your work, or go with the men and do, whatever it is. So it's any kind of not, appreciating, adoring the cuts, the criticisms, the little subtleties. And they're subtle a lot of times, shutting down, the criticisms, the not making space, not bringing your feminine. Like if you're bringing your masculine or you're bringing walled off, there's no place for him. There's no place to open up to. There's no place because that feminine is inviting, the real feminine is inviting man to come and be and open. And there's ways of see, I feel like we do our own work and then we come together and do the work together. And there's ways of communicating and sharing that are really from yourself and not criticizing or not putting it on the other person. I'd like to do this. I'd like to explore this. I'd like, where you're bringing what you're doing or what you're feeling or what you want in a way that's loving and not like, oh, you haven't done this. So it's like, oh, honey, I love it. Turns me on when you do this. And you invite, because that's really the feminine, the invitation and the opening, and the man is like coming and penetrating. And so how you bring that in relationship, in your communication, in your sharing, in your space with him.
Yeah. There's an example of this. I thought about sharing it earlier. I'm like, no, because it's an example where I was kind of slipped into my unconscious feminine a little bit. But Gerald and I did an event recently, and there was there's just always lots of energy when we hold events. And what's really beautiful is that the old pattern was we would do events. I'm really empathic. I would feel a lot of stuff. There'd be a lot alchemizing through me, which is really beautiful. And then I would cry, after the event or while everybody else was celebrating because they felt so good. And I thought, well, crying's not bad. And I'd like to find a different way to alchemize this because I think I want to enjoy this experience. And I could feel it wasn't even my emotion. And then Gerald and I found flogging, which was awesome. And I realized that flogging was moving the energy, or if we had sex, if I had an orgasm after experiencing and holding space and having all this energy move through me, that was so easy. It was a great way to alchemize it. It's awesome. And I loved when Gerald's my partner in that, because then, we get to kind of co-create the event and then co-create the movement of energy through. And so I love that about us. And we did an event recently, and there was a lot of stuff moving around, actually a lot wanting to be alchemized, even about what we're talking about with this divine masculine and feminine. And I think the feminine right now is trying to find, like, what does it mean to be a partner? For so long, we've been taught oh, you just need to be taken care of. Like the man just needs to take care of you. But then also there's this whole thing in the field about like rising and being in your power and, letting your light shine. And like, what does this all mean? So it's something even personally that I've been moving through based on my culture I grew up in and my family and the time period and the religion and all of these things. So all of these things are in the field. We're doing this event and it's really intense. And I noticed that I was desiring some alchemization through orgasm, but I was really just in kind of a grumpy mood. So instead of being in my like getting my lingerie on and being like, hey Gerald, I was like, I get into bed and I'm like, oh, why haven't we had sex yet? I really need sex. Like, I just need to alchemize this. I don't know. And I start complaining. Gerald just like very gently is like, well, if you want to turn me on, this isn't the way. But if you want to get naked and like get your lingerie on and come like snuggle me and say nice things, like I'm going to get turned on so fast. So beautiful. He gave me this like gentle yet powerful reminder, and so great because he's done the work. He's holding space. He understands like this isn't, your conscious way. I'm going to remind you to be more in consciousness. So I do that, and he gets turned on and we have this like epic love making experience. And I wouldn't say like it was the most pleasure of experience, but it was one of the most intense energetic orgasms I've experienced, where my body was just shaking and I could feel this energy moving through me. And then afterwards, I just started crying for like 20 minutes. And the crying needed to come into it. And Gerald's just holding me. And I remember after that experience, and then all the energy was moved through me and I was feeling great. And I was so thankful for him. But as I reflected back on that, I was really thankful for a few things. First of all, just his presence and his ability to hold space, even when I wasn't in my conscious feminine. And I think that's due to the work that he's done. His ability to like show up for me as a lover in helping to like move this energy in our deep connection. And then also afterwards, his ability just to hold me while I cried. I had this thought in my mind, like, oh, this is really weird. I'm glad Gerald and I have this relationship where we just understand each other. We've done so much work. I'm like, if this were another man, he might think, what's wrong with me? My partner's sobbing after we just made love. But because of that, Gerald just knew. And it's so powerful for me. And it's really interesting for me just to be in this relationship with such a conscious masculine that can really hold space. And he's not perfect and neither am I, but it's really, really powerful and I'm really thankful for it. So just a second what you said, I mean, all those things came out in there. Just, criticism's not going to get you what you want.
No, complaining, criticism. And so, like that was beautiful. And it could also be where he just ravishes you and just takes you and, fucks you to infinite. Like there's so many ways, but when you're in that space of grounded masculine, it's like you can penetrate the women in many ways. It doesn't have to just be a soft way or this way because you're there already. It's like I was saying, the foreplay. When you're in that dance with her, just in normal life, you can penetrate her anytime because it's like you're already with her. She knows you're there. So it can look many different ways.
Oh my gosh, I love this. There's one other story when you said that they can penetrate you in many ways. This is just making me smile because I love this topic. Just even I was in the kitchen the other day and just kind of in my mode of doing things, doing. It wasn't a special day, not a special evening. And then all of a sudden Gerald turns on some music and he comes in the kitchen. He's like, hey, we're going to dance. As we start dancing, I noticed the song that's playing is a song that he used AI to write about me. And it's this beautiful song that's playing. And it was like penetrating that moment with the energy and reminding me that there's magic. So yeah, I love this. And I love that you're teaching men this. I know we're getting close to the end of our time together, but I know. I could just sit here
scratch the surface, but
I know. Well, so what I want to get into with the remaining time is maybe some tangible advice. Like what are some things that men can do to actually be in this place where they can take the mask off, where they can be in their heart, where they can be grounded, where they can be, ravenous? What are some things that you would recommend men do?
Well, I always say get in the work, get in a men's group, get in a men's anywhere. Some place that's doing the work, that's getting conscious and not trying to bypass any, like a lot of places some of the work wants to bypass and it's like really going in. So anywhere, men's groups, sometimes AA groups are great. Like there's all different places, but go do the work. Go be around men. Go open yourself up. Be curious. There's so much to explore. Curiosity, I think, is pretty top, like curious about yourself, about life, about sexuality, about, everything, and getting men's work, get in a group. Like there's no real substitute. Yes, sometimes you can go be still in the woods and spend 10 days and find yourself, but there's still much more than that. Certainly the stillness, meditation, and all that are pieces that can help, but you need to be around men because you need to be held accountable. I think accountability is one of the most important things because it's not easy to do alone. Very few people can do it alone. And when you have men holding you to your greatness, holding you to another level, that's where you're going to find it. So if you can find accountable men and it's not in a group, great. Somebody who's going to hold you to your word, hold you to your heart, to your integrity, to your commitments, to, all the pillars of yourself, great. But usually it's men's work.
Hmm.
You know?
And just for people that are interested out there, do you have any events coming up or anywhere people can find out about your work that you're doing in your men's group? Are your men's group local or are they international? How do you work with men and what do you have coming up?
So I do a 12-week group with men online, and then I have an inner summit that's a year long. But the 12 weeks is we go deep. We're accountability buddies. It's usually a cohort of 12 men. My next one starts at the end of February, and that's pretty deep work. And then I have the inner summit, which is 12 months, but we go every month, we go deeper and we meet twice a year. That's an
Hmm.
in person. That's a Zoom once a month, but then we meet twice a year for 3 days, and we
Wow.
because when you're in person, you can go even deeper and get into more of the ritual, ancestral stuff, and the fire, I call it.
Yeah.
um, so I run both. I certainly individual coach men, couples. I do some individual women's work, but right now I'm really focusing more on the men.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So how can somebody find out more about you, MarcAnthony? I know you're on social media. Do you have anywhere else where they can find out about your group? Say there's a man out there who's feeling super called. Oh, wait. One other question. One other question. Okay.
okay,
This is a real question that I have.
the
And
real one. Okay.
many people have asked me this. What I mean is like I'm not just like making this up from a list. I didn't Google this or anything. This is a real question that I've had, and then people have asked me. And that is, what if you want a man in your life to get into this work? How do you inspire him to do it without feeling like he's being nagged? I'm wondering if you're having any tips on that.
Well, as I said, is when you come to him with your feminine and your openness and your desire and there's these wonderful ways. Honey, I want to go deeper with you. I want even more with you. I love that you do this. I love that you do this. I think this would be, I heard something from somebody and oh my God, it sounds amazing. And I want you to spend time with men and I want you to have a good time and find out new things that you could bring to us so we can have even more fun and we can have even, more sex or what, you, like use the feminine, use sexual, like in a healthy way. That's a healthy way to use it, to open him up to, oh my God, there's a gift that, oh, I'm going to get this. I'm going to, we all like rewards. We all like, some kind of gift. And it's like, if you can bring your feminine that way, it's like, oh my gosh. Oh, so this could open this. Oh, we could have even more sex or greater sex, or we can have, more fun, or I can feel more alive and so if you bring that, that's the feminine piece that you can bring. You could also talk to, other men that have done the work and have them talk to I've done that. Been asked to call or talk to somebody, or even in couples, honey, can we talk to this guy? Two couples, I've done couples and then brought the men into the work, so
I love that. All right, back to the question at hand. Where can people find out more about you in the men's groups?
Email me, call me. I'm not the big social media person per se, because all my work is referral and stuff like that. But you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook and all that. But my email, which I'm sure you're going to put up. And also there's a breakthrough event, which is awesome. That's going to be in Vegas. I'm going to be at, and then I'm speaking there, and then I'm doing a workshop for 2 days. It's going to be men and women. I'm teaching with Mahala, amazing woman, a 2-day event. The breakthrough is 8th through the 10th, and then our event's the 12th and the 13th. Anyway, so you can see us in person. That's in Vegas, January.
So January 2026, we'll put the links. If you'll send me the link, I'll put the link to the event that you're guiding in Las Vegas just after Legends Breakthrough in there. I'll put the Legends Breakthrough link and then your email as well, in case there's anybody that feels inspired to email you, find out more about the men's group and the work you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So exciting. So good. I was just in, I know there's psychedelics here, and I think plant medicines are a great way to open up and find new pathways and stuff. And I was just in a journey with 8 men a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, men need this.
Wow, you read my mind. I was going to ask you if you used any kind of psychedelics or if you've ever been in men's group with psychedelics. So that's powerful. What would be the most powerful psychedelic, do you think, in doing men's work? Is there an ally, or does it just depend on different?
I mean, I think we're all sensitive differently to different. What I've tend to like lately is really heart openers that really, they just open the heart so you can feel a sense of love for everything and everybody. And then psilocybin, really. I've done all the range, but right now with men and men's groups, that's what I use in our own journeys, because it creates a deeper level of brotherhood and openness, and especially being around the fire. That's part of men's thing. Just being around the fire, there's something primal and primitive, and journeying together and really opening up, and it's a beautiful space. I mean, I recommend doing Bufo and everything else, because I think in many ways it lets you let go of control, because I think we all want control, and so it lets you let go of control, and then it gives you an experience of something other than this. It just opens spaces in you, spaces in your experience of life that can add to it. But be curious. Bottom line is be curious. Try it all. That's what I say. Try all the psychedelics. Try it. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. Go for it. This life is to be experienced, and so you want to experience it all, from the plant medicines to the men's work to sexuality and tantra and, all of it.
Jumping out of balloons, hot air balloons.
Howard Dean, do it all. Do it all.
What a great message. And thank you so much, MarcAnthony, for being here. I will wrap up with this and the psychedelics and the being group. I was one of the groups we were leading recently. It was not a men's group, obviously. I was there, but there was a man there. And we had, had some heart opening experiences. And he said, someone said to him, like, I love you. We have this saying in our tribe, is I see you, I honor you, and I love you. Mm-hmm. And somebody said that to him, and he said, wow, I never would have thought that I could really believe when someone would say that. I never would have thought that I could believe that with somebody that, I'm not married to or is not part of my family. And he said, I really, because of the state I was in, because of the people I was around, I really believe that for the first time, and my heart is changed. This is a man that's doing some big work in the world, really helping with some big projects in government and different things. And it was just really, really beautiful to witness that experience of a man having his heart opened and really believing that somebody could say, I love you, and mean it. So what a beautiful world.
When I was in this men's circle not too long ago, when we were doing the psilocybin and the heart opener, there was a piece of just that. Men are not used to receiving. And that's what we learn in men's work too, is how to receive. Because women might be giving us, and we don't get it at all because we're not open to receiving. We're not used to. So the depth of receiving with each other so we can give and receive, it's beautiful. And that was just a perfect example. It's like we're learning to receive. He actually could receive because we're used to blocking it. We don't even get it. We don't receive. We don't open to receiving. It's like, that's too vulnerable if I take that in. But that was beautiful expression. So thank you for sharing that.
What a great world if all of us, men and women, can really love and mean it and be loved and receive it. I think that's when the world heals. That's when we go to this next evolution as mankind. That's when we move past all these wars or, trials, all these people fighting, is when we can really just be able to love and receive love. So thank you so much, MarcAnthony, for joining us today, and can't wait to see you in Las Vegas next month.
Yep, can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, legendary explorers, for joining us on this cosmic journey today.
Your curiosity fuels our exploration of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
If you're hungry for more, dive into our website and connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes.
And stay tuned for our next mind-expanding episode. We can't wait to talk to you again in our next adventure.
Until then, remember, this is your life. So,
make it legendary.